It's time for this
You're
week's
listening to
episode
Brandon's
of
Sports
Brandon
Talk,
Sports Talk,
interviewing professional
featuring
athletes
in-depth
and
interviews from those who
Paralympians
are trending
and
in the world of
Olympians.
athletics.
And now for
And
your
now, here's the
professional
host of
athlete
Brandon
interview
Sports
and
Talk,
your host,
Brandon Pate.
Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the St. Mary's College Seahawks head track and field coach, Coach Reava Porter. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college track and field?
I managed to end up getting into track and field from my head coach in college my senior year. He kind of pushed me into coaching by being his graduate assistant. Um, 2 years I was there, and then that kind of like catapulted me into where I am today.
While at Temple, what was that experience like getting to compete in track and field?
It was great. It was an interesting experience. I've made lifelong friends on the team, but I enjoyed every moment of it. It was a good student athlete experience for me. And I think that the things that I learned from being a student athlete there and being involved in different things, like I was on the SAC committee and I was able to be involved in other areas outside of the team, was a really good thing for me. And I think shaping me to who I am today.
For you, what was that feeling like getting to put on that kit for Temple and representing them?
It was a great feeling. Like my freshman year, at A10s, being able to be the first person, like I think triple jump was maybe first. I don't know. Maybe it was a long time ago. But being able to be a contributor and scoring and things like that my freshman year, I think was one of the highlights, and that feeling of being a part of something bigger than myself was a great experience for me putting on that jersey.
Coming out of college, what was that experience like getting a grad assistant position at your alma mater?
It was a great feeling because, you're coming from being a part of the team to actually being on the staff. So you see a different side of how things are being done, how things are run, but you still have relationships with people on the team. So you're able to spin it in a different way because you can see things in a different arena. And it's also taking pride in how the program progresses from there because it's your alma mater, like it's a place that you graduated from. So being able to do that and help the team, like as a GA, we won A10s that year. And being a part of that staff and being able to actually accomplish something like that was amazing.
While at Shaw University, what was it like being the assistant coach and what did you accomplish there?
It was an interesting time. I was only there for 7 months, and being an assistant coach, I learned a lot. The head coach, he pushed me to be a person that was involved in a lot of things, and he kind of just let me do my own thing because he trusted me, because a lot of it was I learned from him. He had dual roles at the school, but he also pushed me and said, I see something in you and see that you can be a head coach by 30. So he kind of just was like, hey, I'm gonna let you take everybody and just figure it out on top of the coaching education that I was allotted to.
Of course, what was that experience like transferring over from Shaw and Raleigh to going to Bethel Cookman?
It was, I would say it was a different experience because, you had a coach that was more hands off and just let you do stuff compared to a coaching staff that's more hands on and that's going to help you grow in different ways in different areas because you can ask a little bit more questions and they're right there with you seeing you do it. Like there were times where when we transitioned over from cross country to track for Shaw, I was by myself a lot more compared to at Bethune. There were other coaches around. So if I was stuck with stuff, um, let's say if something at practice I was stuck on trying to figure out, being younger at the time, I would go ask them, or, I had the free reign to be able to have those conversations in the office. So I think it's just different when you come from different cultures and different head coaches, because their values are going to be different. No one's values are going to be the same. They may have similar values, but at Bethune, it was just different and the culture was different, which was great. Like, they both were family atmospheres, but it felt like a little bit more family just because it was bigger at Bethune, um, with having more kids on the team and a bigger coaching staff. So it was a great experience. It was something that I feel like I grew there too. Like, I feel like every stop that I've been at, I grew and learned a little bit more about myself and what I like, what I don't like, and what matters most to me.
While with Bethune, what were some of the things that you were able to accomplish?
We won our first ever championship on the men's side when I was at Bethune. We had kids qualify for regional championships, USA's, nationals. Like, it was building a winning program. I was a part of building a winning program and culture. And I was grateful for that opportunity to be able to do something like that. And I stepped out of my comfort zone a lot. Like, I got put in different coaching situations that I wasn't accustomed to, but I took it head on. I didn't shy away from anything that was thrown my way. And I think from that helped me be the head coach that I am today, because it prepared me to be able to adjust on the fly, I would say, with anything that's thrown my way. So it was a lot of different, like, accomplishments and things that we're grateful, and just like the relationships that were built there are lifelong.
How was that experience like for you going to UAB and becoming assistant coach with them?
It was a different experience. I think I learned a lot about myself because, again, the environment's different. The area is different. So, it's a different place, and that's the furthest away from home that I've ever been. So, um, I just feel like it was a lot of learning that I found about myself, especially with it being a single gender program. That was the first single gender program and the only one that I've ever coached at. So it was an adjustment, I would say. But from it, I feel like the accomplishments and the things I was able to do with the athletes were amazing.
Of course, what were some of the things that you learned throughout your coaching time to help you to become a head coach at Emmanuel for the first time?
Um, what I learned is you take different pieces of your different stops and experiences as an athlete and as a coach, and you make it your own. And you have to know what values mean the most to you and what do you want your team culture to look like. I feel like different pieces that I've taken away from every place um help me be able to come in and instill those different values within the team. I am a person that's very upfront and honest and, quite frankly, blunt. Some people can't handle bluntness. But I recognize that, and I recognize, who they are, but I'm a straightforward type person. Um, so I feel like me being true to who I am and just being able to have the best student athlete experience, because that's one of the top things that I strive for, is making sure the student athlete experience is the best as possible as it can be, because that means a lot to them. And that's something that they remember for the rest of their lives, is how was your student athlete experience? Yes, you're an athlete, but you're also a student as well. And what other experiences are you afforded as an athlete on this team? So I think that those things that I've learned from how I felt being a student athlete, how I felt being an assistant coach at different places, and what I liked and what I didn't like, I took that into being a head coach at Emmanuel.
Of course, being a first-time head coach at Emmanuel, what was that experience like getting to build the roster and the coaching staff around you?
It was it was interesting. When I first got there, it was early August. Cross country was coming in like 2 weeks. So it was a lot stressful moving from Birmingham to Boston at that time. But I feel like I took my time with hiring assistant coaches because I didn't want to get it wrong. I wanted to get it right. And I wanted it to be a good fit for me and someone that could, in areas where I may have been weak, they may have been strong, or, I was looking for different pieces to be able to fit with me. I didn't want someone that was exactly like me because that's not how teams are built. It's an array of different personalities, and you got to be able to bounce things off of one another and also look at things a little bit differently because I may see something different than this other assistant may see. And, I want the student athletes to be able to talk to all of us, but I also know as a head coach, they're going to be closer to assistant coaches. And that's okay because as an assistant coach, I had kids that were closer to me than they were the head coaches. But I just knew that I needed to have a staff I could trust, and a staff around me that had different things that I may not have had or I was missing, in order to make the team culture be what it was in recruiting and being able to build the roster and, have those different relationships with the student athletes. And I feel like being able to get out, recruit no matter where I went, and just having free reign for recruiting played a big role in that and being able to send them out as well. So that helped me be able to grow the roster and turn that program into a championship program.
While at Emmanuel, what was that like for you as a head coach going from a Division I school where you were assistant coach at UAB to coming to Division II and playing teams like Mount Olive College and Barton?
So that Emmanuel College is actually in Boston and they're D3. So we didn't see Mount Olive, we didn't see Barton. We just saw a lot of teams in the New England region, which are kind of like Tufts and MIT and things like that, like teams that are nationally ranked. So being able to go against those teams, I think helps with competition because for track, it's a little different than other sports because you can race against anybody in any division, and it's just a matter of who's the best person that day and who's going to show up. I also took them out of the region to South Carolina for spring break during COVID, like right before COVID got big and hit, which was a good experience for them because one half of them had never been out of the New England region, and it was an experience flying with the team. I'd say that to say the least, but they showed up, they competed, like it didn't matter who was there. They still ran. So I feel like being able to be in that environment for our sport, especially, it makes the competition a little bit more fun because it's you and the clock. It's you and how far you throw and how far you jump and how high you jump. So it's you against you rather than you against another team.
What were some of the things that you were able to accomplish at Emmanuel College?
When I first got there, the women won their cross country championship, the GNAC championship, which, it was me and I had an assistant, he was an alum that were there taking the reins of cross country. So it was like first year fully being with cross country, which was me doing things a little bit differently than most distance coaches would do. But I took it head on, and that was a great moment, especially for the seniors that year. They really wanted to win back because they won their freshman year, I believe. And they were like, I just want to win. And I said, okay, you guys look good. You have the ability to do it. We just got to work with the plan. And they were PRing left and right. And they looked great on the women's side. And the men did pretty well too. They adjusted pretty well as well. And then from there, we had a GNAG outdoor championship that year with which I had 12 girls. We got second place. We were not supposed to place that high, but we got second place. We were a threat when people didn't think that we were. So that set us up for the next year to, cross country, we got second or third, and track we won for indoor before COVID hit. So it just kind of like set that up. And since then, like I would say for track, they have been winning even after I left. So it just set that program up to know like, okay, this is what winning feels like, and this is the standard that we should um have. And it just seems like it's been something going on since I've done that.
Coming over to St. Mary's College of Seahawks, what was that experience like becoming their head coach?
It was an interesting experience because it was interesting times, I'd say that much, but it was a great one too. Just because I came in during COVID, so COVID rules, running in masks, social distancing, things of that nature. Starting a new program because they only had cross country at the time. So starting a new program, and I come on campus and, you have distance runners, and then there may be kids already on campus that may have sprinted or thrown or something before in high school. So coming in, it was a building experience. It was a very small team. But they were hungry and they were excited. And, even with it being strange times, they seemed to just take on what was put in front of them and be able to just, have fun with it.
For you as a head coach, what was it like you're coming into St. Mary's and building a new program for the track and field and bringing in those throwers, those javelers?
It's been a good experience, I'll say that. There's always tough because recruiting, you got to recruit a lot. So there's times where we're recruiting a lot. We're still recruiting a lot. Like I'm always going to recruit a lot because that's just who I am. And I just want to make sure that we have kids that are good fits for, the team, for the staff, for the school. And for me, it's just making sure that I'm seen, they see me at meets, they see my assistants at meets, and we're having those conversations with the recruits to make them feel comfortable, because it is a big choice. It is a big decision those next 4 years, because that's the place where you're figuring out who you are as a young adult. And for me, sports can play a role in that, a big role in that, because it's part of your identity. So, it's just building relationships when it comes down to recruits, recruiting, and just talking to them, their parents, making them feel comfortable and like it's something that they really want to do.
What does a typical home meet look like for you as a head coach versus for your athletes?
Stressed. I am everywhere. Everyone's calling me if things are not going right, things are going wrong. And for them, it's we get to stay home, we get to sleep in our own beds, we get to compete. Like they're not stressed out. I'm the one that's stressed out running around, trying to make sure that we have someone to take care of everything so I can coach. I feel like they get less coaching from me at the whole meet than they would at any other meet. Uh, I don't really like that, but sometimes it is what it is. But hopefully this year it doesn't go that way. I'm hoping that someone else takes that away from me and they're not asking me a bunch of questions. But I just want to make sure they have a good home meet, they have a good experience, and that they have people on campus be able to see them, since we're off campus a lot. Parents being able to come down and see them compete on their home track and things of that nature.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
So we compete against Gallaudet, for track and field is Penn State Barron, Lancaster Bible, Alfred State, um, Penn State Harrisburg. Cross country is a little different because there's some teams that don't have track. So we have different teams that we compete against for like Penn College and cross country, Penn State Addison, Penn State Berks, Karen. So it's just those are some of the teams that we compete against in our conference.
What is it like getting to compete against those teams in your conference, but also getting to compete against those non-conference teams around your area?
It's different. We got teams, for instance, let's use Gallaudet on the men's and women's side that have all Americans. They have a national champion on their team. So, it's always good to be able to line up with competition and, go toe to toe with them versus the non-conference teams where they could be in the same boat or they could be D1 or they could be D2 or JUCO. Just being able to compete against people you don't normally see is like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like, I don't care who you are. I know that what I bring to the table is what the mentality that most of the kids have. And some of them are just focused on, okay, I know I want to PR, this is what I want to do. So they all have different mindsets, but I know that when they get on that line, it's go time.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the St. Mary's College Seahawks?
Yes. I've built a culture of student first, athlete second. Academics is a big part and it's important to me. And just one where they enjoy their experience. Winning is something that I tell them all the time. Yes, I want to win, but you guys got to want to win too. I can't do it. It's your time to want to do that and have integrity on the program. Like, I'm all about communication, being honest, and, having those conversations with me or anyone on the coaching staff about things that are going on so we can help navigate you. Because I tell them, I'm like, my job is to make sure you leave here better than what you came as a student athlete, as a person. Um, for me, it's just making sure that when it's time to take care of business, we take care of business, but we're going to have fun while we do it. And there's a time to have fun. But I make sure that, with their experiences, like we went to New York for a meet during winter break and we took them to Dave and Buster's as like something fun to do for them, just to break it up a little bit. Like I want them to be able to work hard, but also get rewarded for it. And I think we do a pretty good job at doing it.
What have been some of your biggest accomplishments so far as a head coach?
I don't know. Like I feel like the accomplishments that I've done as far as building the team culture. Yes, we've won 3 women's cross country championships back to back. I've gotten coach of the year on that. We won 1 men's cross country championship. And I was coach of the year that year in 2021. Those were all great. I want to win stuff for track and, our conference championship is coming up on Monday. So see what happens. But I think the biggest accomplishment for me is seeing the smiles on the kids' faces, seeing that, especially when they run well, they PR, they jump high, throw far, just the joy that they get out of seeing their hard work pay off. Because we see it as coaches, but they got to believe it in order to see it as well. But
What
that's the biggest thing for me is that I enjoy seeing them have the excitement and joy of accomplishing what they wanted to accomplish.
As a coach, what was that like getting to go to back-to-back conference championships and winning?
It was it was a great experience. This year we had to fight for it a little bit harder on the women's side, but they wanted it. They said, "Look, I want this." I said, "Okay, you know what you got to do." Um, but it was a sense. It's always a sense of relief when it's over. Um, but I knew it would be a little bit more competitive this year just because our team was very young. Um, but it was an amazing feeling just like seeing it. And it's hard. It is hard to keep that going. It's not easy. Like regardless if you can have the best team on paper, it's not an easy thing to do. Because mentally they got to be there too. Even if they're ready physically. So it's a thing where, we prepare you, it's up to you guys. And it's a hard thing to do back to back to back. Like three-peat was really hard. So, I feel like we did a really good job as a staff, especially my assistants, getting them ready for that. And, it was just something that we knew would be a fight all season.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
The recruiting process is, it can go multiple ways. We go to meets, we talk to student athletes, we talk to coaches, we reach out to coaches. We have student athletes that are already looking at the school that reach out to us. We have open house days where we may end up seeing kids that weren't necessarily on our radar, or they may be talking to other sports as well. They may be dual sport athletes. That are looking to run as well. So, if they fill out questionnaires, they email coaches. If this is something that they're interested in doing, that's great. We'll reach out, have conversations with them. We do overnight visits, which I think the the athletes that we've had come on campus for overnight visits have enjoyed them, because it really gives them a feel for the school, what it's like to be a student athlete, the team. And for me, I think that's the important part of the recruiting process, because you actually get to see yourself in it and you actually get to interact with the student athletes rather than just being around the coaches the entire time. Because when you're on campus, you're not around us all the time. You're around your teammates and other friends that you found. Um, so I feel like that, but I try to make sure that we get out and we get to meets and we get to see them. Even if it's a situation where, home visits are in play, we do those as well. So it's just making sure that we take the time out to see the kids that we're really interested in. And, even the ones that have reached out to us, just making sure that, we keep the lines of communication open, check in, see how they're doing. And, face to face is always a great thing.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those prospective student athletes fall in love with your track facility?
It's a great feeling. Like we just had some kids on campus last week and they thoroughly enjoyed it. They're like, wow, they didn't expect that. Especially the school. The school is beautiful. We're right on the water. Like the campus is great. And the biggest thing is making sure they get to campus, because that's the selling point, is being able to see campus for itself. Um, and we were able to get some kids that, you know, I was fighting with other divisions that are higher than us to get. So we were able to get them between, the school, myself, my staff, and, the kids on the team. And just what we're doing here is what is, getting these kids excited and keeping them.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that track kit for the first time versus your seniors putting it on for the last time?
For the freshmen, it's exciting because they bring a lot of energy um, to the program, and their mindset is different than the seniors' mindsets, but they may be similar. For this freshman class in particular, they're really like, let's go. I want to win. I want to go to nationals. I want to go do this. I want to do that. I want to be a game changer. I want to make a change in this program and how this program is seen. Those are my younger athletes. My older ones, they were here with me when we were like 5 girls on the team. So, they have the similar mindset, but, theirs may be a little bit differently because of the conferences we've been in and them experiencing different things. So, they have may experience a little bit more defeat versus, ones that are coming in knowing that we got this, and as a team, we can do something special. But it's bittersweet seeing the seniors put it on their last meet, because they're moving on to bigger things, and I've been with them since they've been freshmen, or not freshmen, wherever they may have come in. But it's bittersweet seeing them and just knowing that, watching them grow as a person and as an athlete. It's something you're going to miss, especially if they were very impactful, and the relationships that you built with them if they weren't very impactful, or vice versa, whatnot. But I feel like the relationships built with the seniors and the older kids versus the younger ones, and they're getting to know you, you're getting to know them. It's different. So it's something that is very bittersweet seeing them move on to the next phase of life.
What is it like as a coach seeing those players achieve and represent Team USA or Canada and compete nationally?
It's a great feeling to know that, that's something they were able to accomplish. Something that they worked hard and that they wanted. They put that goal out there and they set it and they were able to do it. And being a part of that is a great feeling as well. Because if you have a kid come in your office and say, hey, coach, this is what I want to do. These are the goals that I set. And I say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what you need to do in order to make that happen. Knowing that they have to do the little things. There are sacrifices that they have to make in order to accomplish that goal. And if they do that and I do my job correctly, then we're in a good spot. But it's always a great feeling being able to see them represent their countries and do things on another level.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
Just to build the roster, make sure we're more well-rounded and fill in the areas that we're missing right now. Also, make sure that we have a bigger presence on the regional level, the national level, and just, continue doing what we've been doing as far as the experience, making sure that we're able to provide those things and, just see day in and day out what it is, checking in, especially with the captains and seeing, like, I tell them all the time, I'm like, if there's things you guys want to see within this program, let me know. We can talk about it and then we can see how we can move forward with those things you guys want to see. But again, I tell them all the time, it's your program, it's your legacy. Like, what do you want to see happen in order to make this program better? Like, I have my ideas and I know that, all my ideas aren't like end all be all. I bounce ideas off of my assistant coaches all the time, but I just want to make sure that for me, it's about the student athlete experience, that the alumni want to come back. They want to be a part of seeing this program grow, and they just want to see great things continue to come out of the program as they have been years in and years out. So that's always my plan, is to make sure that we continue to grow. Because without growth, you just become stagnant.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college track and field?
Stay open-minded. Because what you may have as an idea may not be the idea that the coach has for you, because they may have seen you and they probably told you throughout the recruiting process that, they're looking at you in certain areas and you may or may not have ignored it. Maybe, but just stay open. Make sure that you talk to everyone, like all the coaches, get to know your teammates, get to know all the coaches, because you never know what is going to happen your freshman year, especially being away from home and being homesick, and how you adjust plays a major role in how well you do academically and
What,
athletically.
what advice would you give those seniors looking to go represent a national team like US or Canada?
Put in the work, put in the work. You got to make the small sacrifices, even though it is your last year of college. Still enjoy it, but just know that you just need to do things a little bit differently, because you are different, you're special, and you're able to do and put yourself in a position where some people can't. So it's just more so sticking with the plan that's at hand, that you guys come up with, and making sure that you do your part within that plan that's made.
What advice would you give those college track athletes looking to get into coaching after their playing career?
Start asking questions while you're a student athlete. Spend time in the coach's office asking those questions too, and learn other events, other outside of your own. I say that because the more versatile you are, the more marketable you are, the more opportunities that are out there for you. So if coaching is something you really want to do, ask those questions, talk about training, why this is being done, not at practice, do it in the office. Practice isn't the time to do it, but just make the time out to actually have those conversations with your coach and learn more about the sport.
What advice would you give those assistant coaches looking to become head coaches one day?
I would say something similar as far as, asking the questions. Some assistant coaches, they get so stuck in, I'm going to do this my way and I'm going to do it right, which is okay, but you don't know everything. Every head coach doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. My thing is, I'm still learning and I want to continue to learn, because when I stop learning, I shouldn't be doing this anymore, because that means that you stop growing as a person and as a coach in what you're doing. So, don't be afraid to ask your head coach questions. Don't be afraid to ask other coaches questions and learn new things. Like, don't just get stuck and pigeonholed in one area. Learn more things, because as a head coach, if you are at a place where you got to coach everything, you're going to have to learn quick how to coach everything. So if you've been in those positions, you've asked the questions, you've actually taken the time out to do it, you're in a better spot, and it puts you in a place where you elude that confidence rather than trying to fake the confidence that you know what you're doing.
What advice would you give those first year head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy in track and field?
Stay in it. It's hard. I know it's hard. It's a lot of sleepless nights, but stay in it. It'll be worth it in the end. Just remember, you are just as important as everyone else around you, and you need to make the time for yourself so that you don't get away from who you are too.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program at?
My personal social media is Star Nikki, on Instagram, on Facebook, just my first and last name. And, also my team's Instagram is SMCM XCTF on Instagram as well.
Thank you again, Coach Potter, for your interview, and best luck in your future with the St. Mary's Seahawks as the head track and field coach.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Porter, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.